Okay,
Right, so we're
I'll have to
live.
not look at that. Yeah.
We're live. Take it away, Dave.
Yeah. Hi, guys. I think we've invited a few people on. I wonder who's here already. So we've called this My Mate's Creative Podcast, playing around with names, and that seems to have stuck. And yeah, so joined tonight. So Andy is, hang on, let me just read what he wrote. Yeah, audio and post-production. Rob's coming from sort of video directing background, and my side is art and sort of live performance painting. Anyone who's watching this knows all these things, but yeah. So
hi, Mum.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't invite my mum to this one actually.
When we have been doing this for a couple of weeks, haven't we? We're like messing around with the format and stuff like that. I think last
Glad
week
we didn't do the first one.
No, well,
yeah.
Last week we covered sort of social media and things like that, didn't we? Which is obviously a big area for like every industry, but creative industries at the moment. Just like about marketing yourself and all those things, and it's not something that I particularly have invested much time into.
I think for the first few weeks we sort of just generally chatted about where we might want to take this as a platform to talk about being creatives, because we're all self-employed and we all
I'm not
come
self-employed.
from different. I knew you were going to say that. Just for the sake of this, it basically works that you're self-employed, Rob. None of us are self-employed. Yeah, generally we all work in different creative industries, and we have to kind of, like, this one is based on motivation, which is a pretty strong topic to be talking about. And up to now, we've been just sort of chatting and trying to work out which direction we want to take this in. And it's kind of going in a direction where we're sort of shooting the shit about, general areas of being a creative, the ups and downs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it was born like this concept of live streaming the Zoom, because obviously we'll do it in person probably one day, but
wow,
kind of born from like streamlining
stage,
your workflow, isn't it? Because we're kind of doing it to limit the amount of editing, because we've all got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
We all edit, but none of us. We tried recording it, and it's about an hour and a half was the sort of streamlined version, and trying to edit it, I mean,
an hour of nonsense and 30 minutes.
It would take a while just to get all the little bits out. So we're trying instead live streaming it. And also, if anyone's watching and want to ask any questions, 100,000 people are watching. Yeah.
There's three people watching.
That's one way that
us three.
One way of watching, one way that makes it better to do it live over YouTube is, there is an element of interaction that can be added. Yeah. And we don't have to edit it.
Yeah.
That's the main seller.
Well, I think I got to get right sort of into the topic, right? Motivation and inspiration are kind of like symbiotic like concepts, really, aren't they? But they are two different things. I think they sort of drive each other. But personally, I think inspiration kind of drives my motivation a little bit more. Like if I come up with an idea for a project, that's kind of like my approach to staying motivated, is to sort of come up with new concepts for little projects I can get on the go.
Yeah, there's nothing like the beginning of a project to motivate you. Like those dark days when you're at the end of a project and you've just got to do the final little bits, and it's just like the most painful bit. It's like, oh, come on, man. It's like one day's work. You can get through it. So, I think the inspiration. Yeah, I do think the inspiration is definitely fuel for the fire.
Mm.
I think we're going to quickly turn this into inspiration at the moment, aren't we? Because I've always loved the phrase "inspiration finds you at work," which I feel like the longer that we do this as a job in our different areas, the more that saying makes sense, because the motivation to go and do a project, I find a lot of motivation once I've got going as opposed to staying with
Yeah.
inspiration. I find inspiration a lot of the time once I've picked up a paintbrush and started painting, it really, it's only then a lot of the time where I'm like, yeah, there is plenty of motivation here, but a lot of the time you have to sort of get going.
Yeah, you
It's
must.
always getting started, isn't
Go
it?
on.
Getting started is the hardest bit of anything. Like once you started, it's fine, but like getting that motivation to start is always.
Yeah, I mean, you must go into Dave. You must go into all of your projects and all of your painting specifically. You must go into all of your paintings with a clear plan. I don't suppose it's something that you can really just go, I'm going to start and see what comes out.
Yeah, I haven't done that for a long time. I think, I feel like I plan it more and more these days. I find I get a lot of motivation in the planning process now.
Do you think that's because it leads to better results, and you realise that actually more time you dedicate up front ends up with a better product?
So I tend to, I have a few journals and a few sketchbooks and stuff, and if I'm starting a project which doesn't really make sense, especially to other people, it's like a really random thing that I've got in my head. And I'm motivated by it. Really random things, the really stupid videos that I'll do. I'm motivated really quick, and I get more and more psyched when I start writing down all the bits that I want to cover and all the ways, if you go on bloody Pinterest or something like that and you start finding, inspiration there, my motivation just keeps going and going and going that way.
A bit of an aside from what you said there, like when you try and explain it to someone else, I find trying to explain what I'm working on at the current time to other people a massive demotivator because like no one can understand it until you're done, really. And like I hate just like explaining something to people and they're just like,
You're talking about explaining it to a layperson or just explaining it to anyone, really? Because it's still really at that point it's kind of still conceptual.
It is, yeah. I suppose someone who's got a bit more of a creative mind will be able to interpret it a bit better. I still think even then you can never get what's in here out, can you?
I do feel like that's probably one of the main reasons that we're doing this. Kind of helps us, doesn't it? When we all get to sort of generally talk about what we've been, the things that we've been doing, because it is a weird feeling sometimes. It's not anyone's fault when you come out of the studio and you come out of, if you've been filming out in the, the forests, or you've been making a very specific audio track, Andy, and, a lot of friends, when you go to speak to them, it's not really common ground to talk about, especially the tech side of things sometimes, especially with making a specific song. I mean, give me an example of something you've been making for a client, Andy, that would be hard to translate at the end of the day.
It's all the kind of bizarre briefs that you get, because I do a lot of healthcare audio for healthcare, like new pharmaceuticals that are coming to market. A lot of this is the American market mainly, so there's a lot of like the company that I work for mainly are very character driven with their animation style, like 3D characters, and so it's all about like the different microbiota and stuff, and you get, if it's gut related, they're all like characters, but it's quite a sort of it's like a fantasy world all the time. So like it's quite hard to explain what.
Imagine like a Sleep Up Domestos advert.
Just picturing then even you telling that, and I'm holding a pint in the pub going, microbiotic gut pain.
Yeah, trying to stifle a yawn.
Well, this guy he does stomach sounds.
Yeah, so luckily with the client,
really fast.
with the main client, like the animation company, I've worked for them for so long. They're kind of fairly hands off with their brief. The end client, the pharmaceutical company, will come at you with stuff that is, it's hard work for people to put how they want something to sound into words. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
So you do get mad briefs and stuff, but generally, you can, as soon as a project gets going, they kind of like realize they're a bit out of their depth and take a step back.
Yeah, trying to explain what kind of sound you want. Some of the things that you've sent me in the past, examples from clients about what they want when you send them an example of the music, the first draft, and then they send back their notes, which it sounds like sometimes they've gone around the office and played it to all the people, and they've all sort of thrown in a comment which isn't that technical, because I mean it is hard to say the right things.
Yeah, because the only point of reference really that people have got is other stuff that they've listened to. So they go, well, I want it to sound a bit like Blade Runner and Toy Story is. It's always it's never Ed Sheeran, luckily. Yeah, Toy Story and Blade Runner is one of the good one that I've had in the past.
Do you get things like I want it to sound more fuzzy or stuff like that?
Yeah, stuff like that's a difficult
abstract concepts.
Yeah. They go, can you take the violin out? It's not got one in, mate.
Yeah, I've taken it out a few.
I've done stuff before with clients, not with any clients that I have now, so I can probably talk about this. It's fine. When they take how instruments are these days quite high end, like multi-sampled. It's like a real flute sample, isn't it?
Yeah,
but they've recorded loads of flute playing and you mapped it onto your keyboard. I've used them. Well, I have to use them all the time, obviously, because I can't play the flute. So, a really old job. This was like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. They're like, oh, can you remove the rubbish like Casio flute and put a real one in? And I just sent them exactly the same file and said I changed it, and they were like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
because I knew it sounded fine.
Yeah.
Right. I know, just that sounds like the person in the meeting who realizes they weren't really adding anything to the meeting. So I think can you change the flute to a real flute?
We had a guy, and his only direction on our videos that we were making, he'd just come in mid-shoot and go, "You just make it more edgy. You just make it more edgy." Like,
piss off.
Just move another table in, mate. There you go. There's 4 more edges for you. How's that?
Yeah. Do you have that in your head, Rob, when you're trying to film at the moment, then, to make it more edgy?
Oh yeah, I'm constantly on edge, mate.
So one of the notes I've got is like under motivation, and what is like creative freedom is a good source of motivation. But when you obviously get briefed by clients, Dave, presumably, do you find it harder to be motivated for stuff like that you're briefed on, or like self-briefed stuff? Which one do you like, sort of?
Yeah, good question. I think it's a good one, because I find a lot of motivation in having briefs to work to, because it really, whether you always want to wake up and start painting, it's good if you've got something that you're aiming to and finishing. I'm not that motivated by some of the things that I have to do, because
painting.
I'm not that. But I'm not. Yeah, I had a quote that I had to do for going to paint in Germany for 12 days, and they wanted me to do a speed painting on a canvas of their fridge. They were a fridge company, and I was going to do the same fridge. I think speed paint it 3 times a day for 2 weeks or something. I don't know where my motivation would end up.
No,
painting a fridge. Just I'd probably end up getting sacked by like the day 7, because I'd probably be changing the music so much just to entertain me, and apples and bananas would come on pretty soon. I like to eat.
That's the point, though, isn't it? It's where that line between doing work that you want to do, even though you're getting paid for it, you still need to have work that's going to motivate you. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. And that's quite interesting that you're able to put aside the money, be like, 2 weeks holiday in Germany sounds all right, but you can say no to it.
Yeah, I think what you said then about having side projects is maybe something that I feel some people they miss out if they've lost motivation for their creative path. It might be because they're not thinking that you need to start doing those smaller sided projects.
It's interesting
when you do them.
Because I find myself, I'm obviously in full-time employment doing videos, which restricts my creative freedom in that environment, obviously, because you're working to brief and you're working with clients, so you have to fulfill a certain idea of what they want. And yeah, having stuff that I do on my own is what keeps me interested in being in the industry and looking forward. Because if I was just basing it on my day-to-day work, the sort of motivation for that sort of did run out like a year or so ago. But you do it because it pays the bills to allow you the freedom to keep doing your side projects. And I think that's kind of true in the freelance world as well, isn't it? You have to take commissions, you have to take whatever for, things you might not want to do.
Yeah.
But you have to take it on the chin to allow yourself the freedom to do your own side hustles.
Yeah, it's being able to get through the jobs that you don't really want to do and still turn out like a high quality product, which is more professionalism than anything else, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know how you make a fridge look good as well. No. Like,
there would be a peak where I'd be so good at painting that fridge.
Yeah.
There was another one where I was going to be there for 23 days, and it was painting for Porsche in Germany, I think, again. And I would have done the same painting of the Porsche every day, and that one would have been pretty interesting because I would have been painting an incredibly good Porsche by like day 18, and then it would start to slump, and I think there'd be a period where it'd look really bad. The wheels wouldn't be round and stuff.
Doing like one of those like old Max Power style illustrations that you used to do.
Yeah, with the big fat wheels.
Caricature, I think this is a really interesting area, motivation. So I think we should explore this a little bit more. And that is, how does it work when you think up little ideas or things that you want to do, especially when you've been doing work that's making you money that isn't necessarily keeping you motivated, or you've been doing it for so long that you're like, do you tend to leave it alone and just leave everything alone for a while, or do you feel like you always naturally start thinking of something else?
I used to just, if I'd been doing a load of client work and then had a break in the work, I would have just stopped doing stuff for like a week or whatever. But now, I get a bit bored doing that, and I'm lucky that my day-to-day sound design and sort of like soundscapey type audio is my client work, and the other side of music making, i.e. like music production, it's different enough for it to feel like two sort of separate different skills.
Yeah. Like commissions and live painting is my two things.
And I still get paid for the music side stuff because it's production music libraries, and so it never really feels like it's not really the right way to say it, but it never really feels like I'm wasting my time. Because
it's all the same.
Mine is like they're two separate things really. It's like all the stuff you've done personally, your own projects, and all the stuff you've learned along the way. That's why you're getting paid, because you can apply that to work. So you do them jobs, and they just seem to inhabit two different things. And like my own creative work is driven by like wanting to like explore and interpret the world, and you just don't get that with briefs, do you? It's like film this guitar in a nice way. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like they inhabit two different things. So mine's straight to a notebook. Ideas down and just building things from there, really.
Do you get to have? Is there? I mean, there's probably only so many ways you can film like a drummer and stuff.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of freedom. It's just the time scales we have. Really reduce how much freedom you can have, because you don't get to long enough to spend on them, really. So it's like your past experience just means you're like well oiled enough to be able to do a reasonably good product in quite an exciting way quickly, basically.
That's where the sort of the demotivation happens, though, isn't it? When you get so good at your job that it's just like feels like going around the shop.
I've found this because I don't know if I've read it somewhere, and it was saying that if the things that you're doing are too easy, you get bored. and if they're too hard, you lose interest.
Yeah.
And it's not that things get too easy, but I find that when I can, so there's two ways that I get motivated. Either if I've got a clear goal, long term, something. So when I first got into speed painting, the goal was to get it to a point where I could do it live, and that was 100% motivation all the time. And then what I have a lot more at the moment is the small little projects or new styles that I want to try, and it's that I can't see the finished what it's going to look like, and that motivates me. The stuff that doesn't is where I can pretty much, because I've done it too many times, I can pretty much see the final piece, and that makes you a really good professional. Makes you super efficient, but it makes you can struggle with your motivation when
it's a balancing act though, isn't it? Because it's necessary to pay for the rest of it almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
it makes you a really good pro, doesn't it?
Towards the end of last year, when I was wrapping up with all of my production music albums, the projects that I had on, I decided I was kind of starting to lose a little bit of motivation with them because I'd done 14 albums last year.
All number one as well.
Yeah. And then so this year I've tried to sort of like make them sort of slightly more complicated projects, so I have to take my time with them a bit longer, so I produce less product at the end of the year. But I think actually the motivation, because it's a slightly there's more collaboration with other artists and this kind of stuff, so there's more other skill sets sort of to go in there. Like I'm gonna have to do like some team management kind of stuff, and they're all kind of new things that I've not had to bother with before. So kind of like
do you find that this is the tech and gear thing pretty much applies to all of us, especially you guys. Do you find sometimes that the motivation you're convinced is, if I buy this piece of gear, then I'll find that new bit of motivation. But I get that,
I do have that. But I had the converse earlier, and I was looking at all my gear around me, and I was like, I better do something with this, man. I've got a lot of shit here now. I've spent a lot of money on this.
It gives you so in my case, if you bought even if you're a guitarist or whatever, you buy a new pedal, buy a new module for the synth, there is certainly a short-term bump in your motivation, because you're like, brilliant new toy, and you sit and fiddle around with it. And then you've got to kind of it's a bit of a, certainly for me, there's a bit of a time you've got to spend with a piece of gear to make it work into my workflow. So that fiddling around and learning period it's necessary, but it's quite a limited window. If I can't get on with a piece of gear in that time, it's probably not going to make it.
Well, and also you're losing money, aren't you, if you're not actually using it in production? That's hours where you could be earning money.
I mean, that's why I'm doing these. That's why the motivation for doing these slightly more complicated albums. Whereas before, like last year when I did these 14 albums, there's no way you'd be able to do that all on hardware. You've got to be mostly software, so you can just bang through it.
Did you feel like you hit sounds ridiculous? So when you were doing these 14 albums, did you find that you got to maybe, I don't know, 8 in, or say 7, which is half of 14? Do you find like did you find like you got to a certain point where you could feel that you were at your peak of feeling psyched about doing it, and then did you feel like?
Yeah, certainly. Sort of. It's probably quite interesting, because at the start of the year, I was like, I'm going to try and do. This is when I got this new guy who sort of like reps all my albums and stuff. I was like, brilliant, this is a new revenue stream. Because at that point I was just like, single revenue stream kind of with the sound design stuff. I was like, the motivation there was like, get a second revenue stream on the go. So you like smash out as much content as I can, which, you can burn yourself out in anything. You're going to burn yourself out. So then a bit of a dip in the middle, and then I sort of consciously realised that I need to pick this back up because it's still a big part of my business model moving forwards. So I started picking some genres that I don't really listen to. So that there's an element of research. So I've got to go away and listen to some Spotify playlists just to all. From what I do, you've got to kind of listen to a lot of music anyway. So it's not like it was totally alien, but you need to some of the production.
Tricky, when your model is like the more you get out there, the more you can earn.
Yeah,
that's such
definitely.
a tempting model to be just like quick, just get loads of stuff out. And,
It would have been the same, like obviously stock footage, and I think there's not much money in stock photography anymore. I don't think, but
no.
But you haven't really got that to tap into, Dave, have you? Like a sort of royalties based revenue stream.
I just like Prince and
I suppose so. Yeah, that's true. That's the same sort of thing.
I don't know. I hear mixed things about that, but deep down, I've just never felt that motivated. I feel like I keep having to put motivated in, so we're staying on top of it. I'm like, I think for the mass viewers who are watching this and us, I think we get it at this point. Is this video also titled Motivation?
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to stop saying it. I think, like Prince is one really good way, but you really have. I feel like you have to concentrate quite a lot on making Prince quite a big part. If as an artist, to make decent money off Prince, you really have to be on top of like smashing out loads cheap. To get any like a large amount back. They talk about on Instagram that the artist with a big follow can do
a diamond camera
100 prints of something, and they'll sell them for a really good price. And they're limited edition 100 prints. If they've got like a few 100,000 followers, that works really well for them because the prints are like. But the amount of times when I've written one of 20 and sell like one print, and you think I don't know if this is Prince for me is it's never felt like worth my time.
I think it's like all of these things, isn't it? It's the same as the stock thing. If you're going to make money out of it, you probably have to be quite focused just on that.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, hang on, my settings are reset.
What, is someone just behind your Zoom going like that, Rob? It's a funny action, isn't it?
Feel like, do you have to work hard to stay motivated? Because some people are like just mega motivated. I see you like.
That's what you think, don't you?
Well,
I think that's what we think. That everyone, this is all social media based. That we think the people that we look up to or we follow. I just think, they're super. They must be so motivated all the time. But in one of the books, it's War of Art, I think it's called, and it talks about the first half of it is about the amateur, and the second half is how the pro is, and it's very much saying, the pro still goes to the studio or works on something creative when he knows he's not feeling motivated. And one of the things that like I'll just burn out with something where I'm starting to ask the question, why am I doing this, a bit too much with some sort of style area or something. And I find that if I'm asking, like I'll start by writing spider diagrams. I'm glad we got onto this. Love a good spider diagram. It's honestly helped me when I've been trying it this year. If I sort of get a bit of a slump, I'll start with something really, broad, like just art in the middle, and sort of put into categories the kind of stuff that I'm painting. And then, like celebrities and stuff like that, they're good because people want to buy them.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, I genuinely just gravitate towards painting people like Marilyn and that, because I do genuinely like painting her. But sometimes I get to a point where I'm like, why am I painting celebrities? Like, why am I not, and so I'll end up writing down why am I doing it. And a lot of the time I can readjust my motivation. Yep, use the word again. I can readjust and sort of get back on track when I actually just write down why am I doing this. And I realize when I write it down that there's quite a lot of reasons why I do that. If I put into categories, why do I paint celebrities?
Yeah.
If I put it into categories of like, because they sell, and then break that into categories, the money side of things, and then I put it into category of what kind of, because I like films and I like music, and put it into categories, and I can spread all of them out into subcategories. And the amount of times where at the end I'm like, oh, I see why I do this now. On the other hand, I've written this down because I could say this in such a philosophical way, but I just didn't have the time. But when you're doing little random...
Didn't have the motivation, mate. Didn't have the motivation.
When you're doing like really stupid, really random projects, if I ask myself why, I lose too much motivation. So it's great to ask why when you don't have motivation. But if you've got motivation, but it's something a bit stupid and not really too work related, I find it's not good to ask why am I doing this, because
true.
You just got to be like, woo, I'm on a high here. Let's keep going.
I think that's kind of like
cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, that is one thing of like having full-time employment where that money's coming in all the time, is that your creative time that you have, your free creative time is your own. So I just get to play around with whatever I want. And like, I'm interested in loads of different things. And actually what I've found over the years is that all of those things, although they might seem a bit detached and, not quite the same and wouldn't fit in anywhere, they actually come together and like build a bigger whole, which is really good to be able to do that without the pressure of like, oh, who's this for and who's this? And it's basically just playing, isn't it? Like tossing around ideas and like seeing what happens. But like, I've done writing, video, photography and music for donkey's years now. And all of that packaged up now online, they're such good skills to have. I didn't even know that when I was starting doing them. I just wanted to do them. But actually, all that playing and that time spent doing it gives you a real good sort of base for launch. Just doing whatever online.
Sorry, Andy.
I think I'll use your writing it down technique. I quite like that idea, because I struggled with that in the week when we were doing these bits and pieces that we'd set each other to do based on what we talked about last week. Mine was post on Instagram and TikToks some content, basically, just to sort of, because I don't do any of that stuff, and then I did get to a point of going, what am I posting this for?
So so let's use that as a segue and just sort of re-explain that, because that might not be confusing to the mass amount of people who are watching. So as part of sort of motivation, we sort of created some quite unique homework for each other in areas where we were struggling to, progress with them. So for you, Andy, it was to start like, an Instagram and TikTok account where you were posting some videos related to, your synth and your music, and just sort of almost forcing you to just put something out there.
Definitely, yeah.
That was your task.
Yeah.
How did it go?
Weirdly, so I posted every day, I think, on TikTok, apart from today, and I posted most days on Instagram, and I got a far higher engagement on Instagram, weirdly, even though it was a video, it's less video friendly than TikTok. I did, like, after going back to Instagram from once you've been looking at TikTok on your phone, it's like, oh, this feels well safe. Like, there's nothing going off in my face. You just can't.
No, TikTok is like a headache, isn't it?
You just can't escape it. I put it like in things like Blade Runner or like sci-fi like that, where they have like their phones are just like little holographic discs, and they go and text comes up everywhere.
Yeah,
that's what TikTok's like. It'll be like
it does feel safe.
It
does feel safe. Instagram, it feels more personal, like a little family. And TikTok is just like this. I don't know, just a right in your face.
That's why I got slightly confused or demotivated with why I was posting it on TikTok. But if I wrote it and broke it down to what the benefits are ultimately, I think that would actually kind of really help. The video that I got the most engagement with on across all the platforms was like the one that I put most effort into, which that's all right.
Yeah.
Excellent point. I think you go through phases when you post in to try and sort of find what works. You do go through stages where you're just trying to get out content and the quality is getting lower and lower. But it gets to the point where you post stuff for the sake of it. And then when it doesn't even get any likes or engagement, on top of the fact that you weren't putting much effort into it, you're just trying to get likes, and then it doesn't get them on top, you feel really disappointed in yourself. And, to feel like you released something that you did put some sort of care into, it is pretty important that, I put out some in the other day. My homework was basically to start a second account with sort of more random stuff that wasn't even that art related. So like, I'd like to longboard and stuff, and sometimes I end up posting that on my art page, and I think it's better. A lot of the stupid random stuff that I end up doing to try and set up another page. So I tried to mix longboarding with landscape art and played around with stupid titles like the landscape longboarder and stuff, and started to build up and made a TikTok account and stuff. And then I went out for the day and tried to film me different approaches to speaking to the camera, whether I'm trying to be funny or actually be literally a guy longboards and does landscape paintings, which that's at one end. And at the other end, it's like really shit longboarding and really shit paintings is at the other end, where I was picturing like Dennis Pennis or something like, oh, I am the longboard landscaper, landscapes, and just like horrible cuts. And I tried all these different approaches in an empty car park, on my own. I mean, I don't know where the motivation is coming from at that point. I'm like in a car park, like trying all these different approaches to talking to the camera in different ways.
Still trying to squeeze your art channel in, aren't you, mate?
Well, I suppose that's it. Yeah. But
exactly.
As a learning exercise, like, did you think it was beneficial? Did you like, even if it's the learning experiences, this is going to be way too much work?
That's one of the main things that stops my, especially the more I do stupid videos and stuff. You have to give it a go. That's the thing when quite a lot of people fall short, is where they're not willing to give something a decent go before then you realize I'm not going to pursue this anymore as a little thing to try. But the more I've done it, by the time, so I'll film and try and do it as many different ways as I can, and then I'll come home and I'll sort of chop it up. And I think pretty much after you've chopped it up roughly in an edit, you kind of know whether it's going to work or not. And if you're trying to, polish a turd, and if it's neither funny or, any useful content, if it's just this sort of thing in the middle, which, whatever I was doing the other day definitely was that horrible middle ground where it's like, hi, I'm a landscape land paper. Who gives a shit? Including, and that includes me. I was like, do I really want to be out here doing landscape paintings? I don't even do landscape paintings.
No.
And do I really want to put time aside to make really bad paintings just for the sake of trying to make it a funny channel?
Yeah. Well, mine was trying to release Instagram Reels, get my head around them.
Yeah.
And I haven't.
No.
I failed, teacher. But just because I've been so stuck into my edit, like it's nearly there now. And
because we were talking about this last week, when this is the edit for like your YouTube channel.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get. I will release a reel, but I kind of need to know how the edit's going to end up, because I want it all to be one holistic piece of work. So I want to be able to release the images on Instagram, a few reels to accompany it, and then direct that to like a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So that needs to be finished.
Do you want to explain, Rob, roughly the area that you've been working to
So-
try and make content out of?
Yeah, so at the minute it's wildlife photography. So I've been sat in a muddy field for the last week or so, trying to photograph brown hares as they start getting, ready for making babies and all that sort of business.
In full in full camo.
No, you don't really need camo with hares. They're weird. If you walk up to them,
Great
they
t-shirt.
see you at the end of a field, they'll leg it.
Yeah.
If you crouch, you can get pretty close. If you
Oh,
crawl,
okay.
they're not really that scared of you because you're
No.
not as much of a threat. So you
suppose they
just
can
have to
just
crawl
leg it,
through
can't
muddy
they?
fields. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's taken me a long time to figure out what direction it's going to be in, and I think I've finally hit on a really good format.
Mm.
I don't know if all the content for this one's it's not perfect, but
It's
I think the format's there, and I think I kind of got to the stage where I just need to get it out and just let it go, and then work on the next ones. Otherwise, it's just going to hang around for ages, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all based around wildlife photography, wildlife filming.
You've just
Ooh,
got to get a
that's it.
start, haven't you? I mean, you see all these memes on the internet all the time of like creative memes, like writing over the top of like some of the early Simpsons episodes.
Yeah,
And people
yeah.
are like, you've just got to get started, and they're, like,
Yeah, that's it.
so
Trouble is,
shit. Some
coming
of those
from
early
that-
Simpsons illustrations.
Coming from that like video background though, it's like it's so hard to let something out where you can see the flaws in it. But
Yeah.
you got to accept that I'm not a crew. I am one man trying to do it on my own, and like that's it's not going to be.
It's a
Blade
tough
Runner.
one as well
Runner,
as
yeah.
deciding what. Like you might release it, Rob. We did a video actually, me and you, Rob, years ago, where it was me in my lead studio, and I was singing a Beatles song and then also doing a painting of John Lennon.
Yeah.
And I really thought the classic thing. I mean, this was years ago, and I really thought this is going to get so many views. And put loads of time into it, into the editing, into the production, everything. And I think it got about 80 views, and
Yeah, I don't
it
think
made
that's
me think what I was not. I really wanted it to be a success online at that point, like in a sort of really pathetic way. And now when I release things, I have to have a little word with myself. And as soon as I've posted it, I think whether this gets 0 likes or a lot of the likes, I have to be cool that I'm posting it for the right reasons, and I'm posting it.
Yeah.
Sometimes if just one person says likes it, especially if it's not someone who normally likes stuff, it does feel good. But
Well, that's it. And for me, this is still very much in the realms of like personal projects. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm trying to build it into more, but at the moment, it isn't. It is just still personal projects. So like, there's no pressure on it to do anything. It's not gonna. I've not got to fucking make £1,000 out of it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a product. It's just something I've made that's out there. So that's all right.
That's good. Like validation of your skill and the amount of time that you put into something, like that's a good form of motivation for me. Like you were saying, Dave, as long as one person likes it, if you get more, then that's even better. But that validation that it's not just like your own opinion that it's good, it's other people are sort of buying into it. I suppose you've got that validation already by people, by having a career in your particular field, like all of us. But you do forget these things,
It's I found Instagram quite interesting for that actually, because like I only just started mine a few months ago, and you obviously start off with all your mates on there, and it's like you get your likes by your mates, which is always very nice to get likes by your mates. But like eventually your posts like get tagged, and I'll have a look at who it is, and they're like professional photographers with like a good body of work, and they're like telling you that this is a great shot, excellent, whatever, and it's just like that sort of thing's good because you've broken the I don't know, it's just getting out of the friends telling you things are good and getting things out there so people can see it. Yeah, it's quite qualifying, really, isn't it?
I'm at home with my parents at the moment, and I'm in the little room, and my dad's better at kind of being honest if I'm like, is this shit, this painting? And he'll sort of, but my mum struggles to let go of just saying, no, it's really nice. It's not
It doesn't
really
look
helping.
like him, but it is nice.
Yeah, it doesn't look like him, but do you really want it to look like him? Yeah, it's a commission.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if my brother's watching, but I always used him as a good first reference before I'd post videos. I would send him video clips, especially when I'm trying to do sort of funny art videos. If he finds them funny, then that's pretty much all I need. Because he will tell me, as a brother, he'll tell me straight away if it finds it funny or if it's rubbish. And that's enough for me. Just basically one person in between posting it. Sometimes that's enough. But I do sometimes wonder. So you're about to finally post your first video, Rob, and it's
Probably got another few days editing on it to be
just post it. I would love to see what you've got. Just
yeah. I might send you a thing to review. Just see what you think.
Just send it, just because it might chill you out quite a bit to know roughly what someone thinks who knows you. I still like the idea of you slowly walking towards the camera with your arms behind your back out in the fields, just slowly talking. It would be so cringe that it would be hilarious.
Yeah, that'll come later once I got a bit more confidence in front of the camera.
Yeah. I just total not really related to this motivation, but there's some curlews back on the moors today, Rob. So
oh, nice.
If you're getting them soon over your way, I imagine.
Yeah. Fairly nice.
I saw a grey wagtail today, actually.
Did you?
Yeah. Bird chat.
I think I
spotted a barn owl box.
Validation from like someone who is who you either look up to or who is like more progressed in their career than you is a good one to get. Like a lady who she's a she's a composer, conductor, and works a lot in the theatre. She gave me my first break in the industry, and probably a few months ago now, certainly before Christmas, she hit me up on LinkedIn asking for some advice on an area that I've progressed in a slightly different route to her. So she was asking me about the production music industry and all this sort of stuff. So that was really nice. So
it's amazing when you can get to a point where someone that you've been looking up to, suddenly you sort of, I don't know, almost doing a bit of a back and forth online. Yeah. For me, it was a dude from America who at one point was in a completely different league, and I was just always trying to get his attention, and then I got good enough that then he started following me, and then cut to a few years later and we sort of chat and did an Instagram live together. That's crazy, that kind of stuff.
Did you think you were good enough way before you actually were good enough? Do you think,
I reckon.
Like, looking back on stuff,
that was a great superpower to have. I was so
true.
I did have a lot of confidence in what I was doing. Again, my brother's opinion when I started out, I was so obsessed and I took it so seriously what I was doing. But some of my early paintings, were really bad. The one that Freddie Mercury, that it looked like a penis with a tiny little head at the end of it going. It was awful, and I was drunk when I was doing it, and I sort of deep down I kind of knew it wasn't that good, but then I'd ask my brother the next day. It was like, they were good. They were pretty good last night. He was like, no, they weren't really. I got really offended. I couldn't handle it, and that's. I don't know. It was all over the place at that point.
When you're in a band, I suppose. Well, I don't know if you were videoing them, but when you're in a band and you record your gig, and then you've got a fairly honest expose of whether it was any good when you listen to it the next day, and you go, it's totally out of tune.
Yeah. Wow. I can't drum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't handle listening back to videos of me singing. I just want to blame the mic every time.
Sound
If I had a
engineering.
proper mic, yeah, mic's too far away to really pick up. No, you just start a tune.
I think, Rob. Well, for you, your like homework going over to next week can
Yeah.
be to get this
Yeah.
content as near to damn it out, or at least send it
Yeah.
over to me or
Send it
Dave.
over. Send it over. I think it's such a good way of getting some sort of reference, especially when you're starting something new, a new area and endeavor. Is just you have to send it to loads of people, but I don't think it's a very good way to get any bearing of where it is, especially the first initial concepts and ideas. When you just post a video online, like with no middle person to give you any sort of idea of
Yeah,
how.
Yeah.
I've got overexcited before and posted like the second or third video when the first one did really well, and then I've just well, it'll be the same sort of thing. I'm sure people like it, and posted it, and I made massive mistakes. Like the video was about 3 times too long. It was just far too long. And anyone, if I had sent it to them before posting it, would have said it's really long, this. But I sort of thought, well, just more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that definitely helps, man. Like someone in the middle.
that's hard, isn't it? Like being critical of yourself, of your like product, particularly in video now, of like realizing what people's attention spans are, because your friends have got a longer attention span for your work than someone you don't know, so they're going to sit there, watch it all, because they know, you know, they know you, and they know it's going to be worth their time. But you know, you've got to basically go on.
You were trying to make TikTok videos, which attention span is tiny, and you end up fabricating what you're trying to make. You're trying to make it quicker and quicker and cut it up more and more. And I remember you messaging me the other day just saying, who am I making this music for at this point? Just, you know, people on TikTok, and it does mess with you, who the hell you are at some point.
He's making the way
I was thinking about, classic over the way.
What were you saying, man?
The way I was thinking initially about an idea the other day was more sort of for YouTube, and then as the day went on, I was thinking more of how I'd edit this for TikTok, and it was just so intense. You know, what the changes would be. It'd be like, right, intro. I've got 4 seconds to say what I'm doing here, and then cut to something really outrageous in the background. And it was like, it was making me think about what I was trying to do in the most unnecessary, fast, horrible way. Like,
it does have a bit of a feel about it as a platform, in my opinion. This is, you know, probably not true, that it's going to be one that comes and goes. You know, it's very generational based. As soon as that generation grows up, I'm not saying like TikTok is for like, you know, kids or whatever, but as soon as that generation grows up and has less time to be on TikTok and all this kind of stuff, there's going to be another social media app which, you know, will push it out. Yeah,
I personally think TikTok's gonna be around for.
Do you reckon
a long time? Because I think it's very easy for people to get famous for doing like nothing.
It's hard to monetize that.
I don't understand what you get from it, really. Like as a viewer,
it's just status,
I don't really understand.
Isn't it?
No, but as a viewer, what do you get from it? Like
laughs.
That's
dance moves. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of artists on there. I was just looking at. I've been studying hands a lot recently, and you know, I was on Pinterest, which then there was TikTok videos in there, and it's just loads of people showing how to draw hands in different ways. And once you if you can get used to a way of filming on TikTok, where you know it's hard to explain, but some people just seem to pick it up as their first app and make sense of it. So Instagram felt like the first app where when those stories came in, they totally made sense straight away for me, the way of filming on there. But I can't translate it into TikTok without getting annoyed that you have to edit it in the little clips, and it's
yeah,
like
it's well annoying that.
if you film yourself several times in a day, you know, you can't drag each video into that 1 minute thing and choose a little bit. You sort of editing.
I'm going to go back a bit to motivation. I've
Go on,
just read through my notes here.
Motivation.
To get us back on track.
Yeah, of course.
And you'd put tricks to stay motivated.
Yeah.
So for me, in my personal work, because of like a lot of what I say relates to time constraints, because I've got family, you know, and a job. So that does narrow down my thing. So for me, a massive motivator is just setting myself small, near goals. Because if I end up trying to project too far in the future, it'll be like, I'm not going to ever do that. I have it in the back of my head where I want to go, but I keep the goals, the actual specific goals, quite small. Because like at the moment, thinking of making a title sequence for this video is wigging me out. So I'm just like, right,
so you're doing smaller goals, but under the umbrella of a bigger project.
Of a bigger project, yeah. Because if
that's good.
You can't, if I extrapolate too far, that would just put me off again, because I'll be like, oh, I'll never be able to do all of that. I haven't got time. So yeah, small goals for me.
Yeah, it's almost like it's your skill set, Rob, with all the filming and the way that you would put it all together, is almost creates a lack of motivation, because you know how good it can be.
Yeah, so I'm trying not to get into that headspace, because it won't be that good, and I need to accept that.
Exactly.
So like, I'm quite happy with that. Just that's.
Do you know the expression? You know, I think it was Stephen King. You know, kill your darlings, when he talks about writing, and to try and get it down from all, you know, the enormous amount that he wrote, and then getting it down to a sort of
it wasn't Stephen King,
amount.
But he did.
I know it wasn't Stephen King. Yeah,
I just got to clear it out. I just got to clear it out.
I know. I always used to say Stephen King, and then I've read that it's not Stephen King. He used it from someone else. But
is Ian Forster or someone like that? I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah. Kill your darlings though with editing is to get things finished. You got to be so harsh in what you cut out, because there's so much that you kind of, by the end, it's been on such a long process of getting it all together and filming it, that to get, I think it helps to be drunk sometimes.
Yeah,
come in and start just cutting bits off. Going, I don't want any of that.
Strip it back until it still makes sense, but there's no extra fat. That's it, really. Because like, you haven't got time for it, have you?
No.
Well, I end up watching films thinking, wow, you'd cut all of this out if this had to go on Instagram or TikTok.
I do quite like the long. The trouble is, I love those shots.
Amazing.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to like turn into something that you're not in some annoying ways like that. It's, you know, you have to a long panning shot. You know, I watched The Godfather the other day, and the whole thing, it feels like you just sat at the table with them all, just generally watching the meat.
Yeah, I bet there's compromises, even a long form, you know, feature film director and editor. I bet they're even making compromises on length. And can't we just make it 6 hours?
Yeah. Regularly, I think.
Just watching a 6-hour film.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to get into that.
No.
But what's it called is really long.
Irishman.
That's really long as well. No, the
Titanic.
Just keep saying films until I get it. No, Space Odyssey 2021. That's just endless sort of slow motion in space.
Yeah.
Takes
ages to
great film.
I'm trying to get off this topic because it's just so far removed.
My motivation.
Shut up.
Tips and tricks for me is to mix up my my approach to making an album. So do one album on like software only, and I am lucky enough to have some hardware, so you can move over to some hardware for an album, or just do the bass on hardware and do the rest on the computer, or just change something up. Try and just use one VST to make, you know, for me it would be a whole album, but you know, for other people, you know, just one song. You know, just use Omnisphere to make up a whole song, including all your drums and everything, or cut up do it all from cutting up vinyl, like an old sort of hip hop style. Those things are really good for pushing your skills forwards as well.
I think restrictions great. I always do it with lenses. Just choose one prime lens and just try and do a whole shoot with it. It's such a good way to explore a subject, but like get your creative mind going as well.
So you're trying to work out, Andy, how to film what you do into videos, which is at the moment it's like flashing lights with
well, those first two videos I put up on TikTok have got way more views than any of my other ones. The ones that are just the hardware, with no like graphics or anything on top. But I'm not sure on what the process is of the algorithm is, whether it exposes your first couple of videos to loads of people to get you hooked.
I think
and
so.
then
Yeah.
bottlenecks it.
I didn't see them because I don't have TikTok. I'll have to have a look at it.
Apparently, faces do the best in posts.
Yeah.
Or
just stick my
billion
my
views.
Face. Yeah.
Just put you, holding your. I always remember the most views that I got on a story, and it was me dancing in my pants for my birthday, and it was like, I don't know what that made. I don't know. That's
me. That's me just watching it over and over again, mate.
Yeah. with different Instagram accounts.
You see, and then you go. I mean,
what a prank!
Client, are any of these people clients?
I don't care. I don't care, man. I'm sure.
No, I mean, am I going to get any? These guys going to? Am I going to monetize any of this audience watching me in my pants? Sell the pants.
Well, the motivation for us posting stuff is, I think we all have different reasons why we want to do.
True, that we did talk about that.
Yeah.
Mine's a marketing
yours
sense.
is. So yours, Andy. Yeah, you want to post stuff for a marketing.
Yeah.
For business reasons. I guess.
Yeah.
Which is totally fair enough, and I think it gives you a lot of motivation if you clearly know that that's why you're doing it. I think for a lot of people, creatives, you sort of don't want to admit that a lot of the time. Even to yourself.
I think my end goal is probably that, but it's a way off, and I know it is yet, so I'm not fixated on it. Do you know what I mean?
So yours is just to get out a video.
Yeah, just have projects because my work stuff is so similar all the time. Just things that are going to stretch me a bit more again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spent a long time on photography over the last year and getting my skills up on that, and now it's about cracking back on into the video stuff as well. Now that I'm, I feel like I'm in a good spot with the photography. So, all of that it goes towards the Rob Sparks videographer, photographer profile. It's like it's always building on that, isn't it? So it can be as airy-fairy as you want, but at the end of the day, it all counts.
Yeah.
Still can't believe you call Rob Sparks.
Yeah, boy.
And do you think you'll continue on with any because I'm going to continue posting from the motivational projects that were put in place for me. I'm going to carry on posting, but I'm just going to ramp back the amount, not every day, because it's just impractical.
Yeah. I find so by doing loads of random stuff the other day, it made me come back to and concentrate, and it almost warmed me up for something that I did eventually post, which I've always wanted to try and do tutorial videos, but in one way, I can just envision all the people who just do tutorials on YouTube, and you think, what am I adding to this?
Yeah.
Which has put me off in the past, but a lot of what you post is your version of it, is your personality and your sort of angle on it.
There's two ways of looking at it as well. Oh, sorry, carry on.
What the hell was I talking about? So I had all these stupid things that I was trying to do that were way more sort of different and edgy and funny, and I got them all out of my system. So when I got back to the house, I just suddenly was like ready to do a video that I didn't plan to, and I ended up doing a tutorial on just some random thing, but I was so sort of warmed up from doing all these other random things that it was actually felt quite easy and organic, and now that's ended up being something that I'm happy to do every week, because my thing is I want to be consistent with uploading similar sort of videos, and do one a week. That's really something that I've always wanted to do, and I can't seem to. I always keep thinking of it needs to be something more unique and more, but it feels at the moment now I've posted one that I can at least just keep doing them.
I think about the worry about there being loads of them out there already. It's like there's two ways of looking at it. Is that like, yeah, there's loads out there already, saturated market, or there's obviously a call for that sort of video because people are still making them and lots of them still have loads of views. And like as technology moves on, some of them other ones, they're going to date pretty quickly. And if you're employing new techniques to film, yours will stand out above, it's like an ever increasing sort of thing. It's
they
like,
all
it's
date really quickly.
but they do. But that's a good reason to keep going, isn't it?
The amount of art videos that feel like they're, in the sort of Bob Ross category of the sort of vibe and the
watch our animated clip art intro.
It's like barbershop quartet or a ukulele or something. And then it comes in with a voice over the top. So that's something I'm sure I think we mentioned last time, is to try and avoid doing videos where we narrate over the top.
Yeah.
It's bit too easy, or it's a bit too don't know. Have you tried narrating over the top of your videos, Rob?
No, it's not comfortable for me. I refuse.
In the year 2021,
one man, 6 brown hairs,
one hair, one brown hair, one camera, one day, one YouTube channel. What? Oh,
so we're going to set. Do you think we can get some stuff? Well, Rob's got some stuff. So
I've got me. Yeah, I've got.
I think it'd still be motivation based because I'm interested to. I don't know whether trying out another platform is not really. Is not
just
really.
Throw a third one in there just to stress you out.
Just put your work on Tinder.
Well, the thing is, Andy, I made a dating profile on Tinder for Roper once. That was one of the funnest things I've done ever, I think. Just like
full night's
work. No, I didn't actually post it, but I made it.
Right.
I should really post it.
You be careful though, mate. You could get in serious trouble if anything went too far with that. Impersonating someone.
I would go pretty far with it. I'd be like, there's no going back now. Like method acting, going out as Roper on a date and not breaking character. Like, how did I get here? Hey guys, and welcome to my date.
There's definitely some headlines there, isn't there?
Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say then.
No,
I was thinking, no, that was it. Yeah, if Instagram feels a bit of a better fit for you, Andy, more than TikTok, maybe don't feel like it's trying to break TikTok at the moment. Maybe by posting on Instagram, you might then go back to TikTok with a sort of more natural progression from posting on Instagram. Because I know that pressure we all do, where you feel like you're trying to make it work. Yeah, I don't think Instagram works really well for me, and TikTok is all over the place, isn't it?
Could your homework be like to research TikTok a bit more and find out how people use it to a business-minded advantage?
That's a good idea.
That would be good for you, yeah.
Because when I go on there, I get off the front page as quickly as possible, straight into my profile where it's safe.
Always a teenage girl
how old
dancing.
do I sound?
And by the way, we'll put our links to our Instagrams, etc., in the description box below the video.
Yeah.
So you're going to carry on with your the tutorial stuff? Because I thought that was really good.
Yeah, it's funny because I felt a bit of pressure as soon as I posted that one for what do I want to do as the next one, because that one was just a really random, quirky thing that I discovered, but I don't have loads of them at my dispense. But that I don't think I would want to have that kind of Etsy approach every week. I made a bowl out of muesli.
Yeah.
And ate wood. I kind of still, I want to mix it up with whatever's going on in my week, to be honest. I was thinking I might just like sort of piggyback off what we're talking about in this and just use it in the Friday post. You know, like just talk about motivation or something. But I've been using my sketchbook a lot recently, so I might just talk about that. But I might film a few in one day as well. That way, that's a great feeling if you can film a few and finish them. So when I post for next Friday, I know I've got a few in the bag for the future. I mean, that's a nice feeling. I haven't really done that, so that's the plan. One day this week, might try and do a few.
That feels like a good place to sort of wrap this up. And like we've all got our little homeworks and stuff.
Lovely.
We'll
love that word these
reconvene
days.
Same time next week.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So, guys, anyone who's still watching, you've been watching us. You've been, My Mate's Creative Podcast.